Famed Chicago architect Daniel Burnham said, "Make no little plans." He knew how to rally support. And yet too often, plans for big cultural building projects seem to go wildly off course. Now, research from the Cultural Policy Center at the University of Chicago helps us see how this happens and what we can do better to realize those big dreams. How is it that extremely smart people get together and so often make decisions that in hindsight look a bit crazy? This is the question that separates handshakes and high fives from empty auditoriums. Whether you're considering any large capital project, be it a grand new building or a seemingly modest addition to your existing facility. Now let's look at how big dreams develop. You start out with a rational process. You have good reasons why you want a new building. Perhaps you need more space for conservation work, better parking, better seating, an improved performance space, a location closer to your customers, more practice space, or more space for education. All seemingly rational, compelling reasons why something new and bigger is better for your organization and your community. So you start down the path of creating a new facility. You start raising money and working on feasibility studies, figuring how much demand exists and moving ahead. But what the research shows is that as you engage your board, motivate your donors, excite the community, what starts out as a rational process quickly becomes an emotional one. Emotional because you're talking about vision, posterity, reputation, about donor relationships and big, big gifts. You're creating a legacy for the next generation based on mission, art, civic pride. In other words, all those things that fuel the passion everyone feels for the organization in the first place. And you're sharing your vision with many different people, board members, government, staff, consultants, reporters, all with varying beliefs and approaches. The emotional kindling is in place. And now you add all the outside advisors, architects, consultants, campaign advisors. Well, they bring in expertise that you need to embark on the project, which is the reason you engaged them in the first place. They make this whole process more complex as well. And remember, generally speaking, these outside advisors are better off if a project goes forward. The longer the project runs, the more money they earn. It's not that they're trying to take advantage of you, but their incentives are not perfectly aligned with yours, all of which leaves you with a highly challenging set of relationships to manage. The outside advisors are necessary, but they too add emotional complexity. Here you are, in the middle of this emotional process, and some facts may come to light that aren't positive for the project, which we already know from the research is exactly what will happen. Your project will run over budget. Not maybe, it will. Your schedule will run behind. Not maybe, it will. Some of the key players you're counting on will leave you. And what about the economic and political environment around you? That's definitely going to change during this process. We know this for sure. So now the evidence is piling up against the project, and you think, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Okay, I'm going to stop now. We're going to step away from the idea of a new building. But you're forgetting how long the building process usually takes. On average, almost 10 years. In relationship terms, you've been dating for a really long time. This is an intense relationship you're in. You've been through a lot together. You've talked about hundreds of millions of dollars, spent hundreds of hours together. You're bonded. You're a team. You're in this together. And now you're talking about breaking up. And not just with one person. You're in the relationship with 30, 40, 50 people who don't want you to break up with them. And now it's your job to break up with everyone. Who wants to do that? Who wants to play that role? We know from studies of decision-making that human nature naturally pushes us towards staying the course, toward discounting the evidence we see that goes against the path we've chosen. Our innate optimism, desire to avoid conflict, and tendency to make incremental but ever-increasing commitments pushes us towards continuing down the same path. What can you do to make sure that when you finish this journey, you're on the winning side? That you have avoided making the two most common mistakes that our research shows people make over and over again in cultural building projects. Number one, underestimating your operating costs after the project is finished. And number two, overestimating your ability to raise revenue to support it. So should we just make little plans? No need. By asking 4 questions at every step along a big project, big decision path, you can increase the likelihood that your big plans will become a successful reality. First, is this still supporting our mission? In other words, is this big project as it evolves still going to do what we exist to do? Is there genuine organizational need? Next, are we building the capacity to manage this new project when we're finished? In other words, when our project is complete, will we have the people and resources to make the most of the opportunities it offers us? Is the leadership in place, both board and staff, to lead this more complex organization through a successful transition? Third, do we have the money we need, when we need it, for the entire project? Delay is expensive. Uncertainty is even costlier. Are we confident that the demand actually is there, and not just imagined, that will provide a growing body of contributors and supporters in the years to come? Finally, do we have a broad community that will be served by the facility, now and in the future? If we spend this much money, will it benefit many rather than just a few? These questions seem simple, ordinary, and logical when you start, but asking them repeatedly is rare because it's a complicated, sometimes thankless task. And yet answering them thoughtfully, while keeping the process as rational as you can, is the best way to execute your big plans.